choice. And I wrote this at a time when I wasn't necessarily making great choices for myself, so I was busy looking out here for something to fix me instead of right there. Father, Son, deliver me. There's too much here to see. I'm caught between this world I've made and what I'd like to be. If only I could see the light you say shines within me. Mother Moon, hold on to me. There's so much that I feel. I'm caught between this lovely dream and what I see as real. If only I could know the words that only truth reveals. Brother bear and sister wolf, what is this star you follow? I don't see what you see, though I try. With a star to follow, I could walk the straight and narrow. With a star to follow, I could fly. Do you feel the sea when you're the wave? Do you feel the heat when you're the flame? Butterfly, you spread your wings to be seen, golden light, and alchemy of ancient things revealed in your flight. If only I could spread my wings, transforming my own life. Brother bear and sister wolf, what is this star you follow? I don't see what you see, though I try, oh I try. Oh, with a star to follow, I could walk the straight and narrow. With a star to follow, I could fly. Do you feel the sea when you're the wave? Do you feel the heat when you're the flame? Now welcome Dr. Barry. Stage to speak on.
That was lovely.
Thank you. All right, let me turn on your mic.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Okay. Ooh, hello. Sounds like God. Well, I did mention something about that there's something happening on Tuesday, if you haven't heard. There's an election going on. So if you really want to know what's wrong with the world, just turn on any media, listen to any political talk. They're going to tell you. They're going to tell you what to be angry about, what to be hurt about. I was thinking about how I was going to address that aspect of my talk. So I wanted to start with that, just to kind of get things rolling. And a minister and the practitioners in Columbia, Maryland, actually came up with a treatment that basically was something that kind of touched my heart as far as what they did. They came up with different affirmations, wove them into a treatment. And I'm going to read that to you. So just take this moment, just listen to this. This was put together by Reverend Jenna Wexler from the Oneness Center for Spiritual Living in Columbia, Maryland. It says, I recognize the absolute, infinite, and eternal power of love that is God, ever present everywhere, in every moment, and in every point of creation, including me. As an expression of God, I affirm this truth in consciousness and prayer on behalf of my country and our voting process during the period of early voting through Election Day on November 6th, 2018. Our paramount value and truth honors a nation that recognizes and celebrates equality, the gift of diversity, and honors the sanctity of every citizen. The flow of God's love, wisdom, and grace is ever present in the lives of each citizen, supporting a united embrace of a free, healthy democracy that honors both the common and highest good for everyone, regardless of race, creed, gender, economic value, age, or political affiliation. While participating in this election, experience respect, ease of access to voting places, and the blessing of peacefully and safely exercising their right to vote. As a nation, we understand the strength and value of a compassionate and united citizenry working together for the common good as our greatest achievement, stability and well-being. We know that right and perfect action transpires everywhere in our nation. And the results in a leadership that represents the citizenry, leads with integrity, and acts to support a nation that works for everyone. We hold a high watch for this expected truth through our consciousness and ongoing prayers, ever grateful for all others whose actions and prayers peacefully safeguard our democracy, voting rights, elections, representation, and leadership to the highest degree. Knowing that anything unlike these truths now dissolves into the light of truth, we gratefully entrust and surrender this to God, knowing that this continually unfolds and blesses our nation's experience. And so it is. So that's a little bit different than what you've been exposed to through the media and social media, that type of thing. But good. I'm glad, because frankly, it seemed to me that I was getting a little overwhelmed with all of the ads telling me what I'm supposed to do, what I'm supposed to vote for, what's important, what's not important. You know, I'm here to make sure that voting is important. I encourage everyone to do that. I'm not here to tell you who to vote for. I'm here to tell you that voting is important. It's important to speak up and actually give voice to what your thoughts are, so that you are represented in the world. So, all right. Now that I'm off my soapbox, get off the idea that we need to talk a little bit about good and evil. And I couldn't imagine this not really being couched in the original version of that. Now, you don't often hear me, and it's simply because I didn't get the feedback from the congregation that the Bible, the Holy Bible, was a burning desire for people to get exposed to. But there's a lot of wealth in the myths and the metaphors that come from the stories of the Bible. So, is it okay that I use some Bible metaphors? Can I do that?
Sure.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Well, good, because if that wasn't the case, this would be a really short talk. So, I'll start with a story. It says a group of wise men that gathered together to discuss the works of God and wanted to know why He had left the sixth day to the creation of man. And so they thought about, well, gosh, they said, well, he thought about first organizing the universe so well that we could all have the marvels available to us, said one man. First of all, God wanted to run some tests on animals so that He would not make a mistake with same mistakes with us, argued another. And finally, a wise rabbi walked into the meeting. They told him about the theme that they were discussing, and in your opinion, why did God leave it to the last day to create man? Well, the rabbi said very simple. So that when we're moved by pride, we would remember that even a simple mosquito enjoyed priority in the work of the divine. How is it that we assume so much for ourselves? How is it we allow things that don't genuinely flow with the divine process to become a theme in our life? Well, as we talk about the creation story, kind of just a little further down the road in Genesis, it talks about after the creation of man, they talk about the story of the Garden of Eden. Now, in metaphysics, we take a look at what does the Garden of Eden look like. Basically, it's the abundance of man. It's the abundance that's basically there for all of us. That we're all born into this idea that the Garden of Eden exists and it exists within us. But as anything of that abundance, it basically, if you take a look at the symbol, the yin and yang symbol, basically there's two different colors. But interestingly enough, that in each color there's a dot of representation of the opposite. So in the Garden of Eden, there was this tree of knowledge. And that was the idea that consuming that basically made you aware that there was something outside of God. And that's where we start looking at the possibility of duality. That's where we start looking at the opposites, where the black and the white exist, where good and evil exist. This is what duality does to us. And the thing is that we keep saying that we need to be one with the divine. And actually, that's very true because it's already there. The thing is that as we accept something other than the divine, when we accept something other than what the divine process is working for us, then what happens is that we don't have the full access to the process that the divine has. But it's important that we understand what this duality does for us, because it also gives us a sense of self-awareness. Because if we were just one with God all the time, where would we know where we end and something else begins? We would just kind of just be there. That's just kind of how that works. As we start recognizing, we start bumping up against other things that are actually out there in the world of black and white. This duality basically teaches us kind of where we are. How do we fit in space? What is it that we look like? What do we feel like? What is it? Where do we quote fit in? The self-awareness also is evidenced by the power to choose. And this is what's so important about this particular idea. The power to choose. You'll hear the word volition used a lot when we talk about in metaphysics with Dr. Holmes, even in the Bible. Basically, it's the power of choice. Because we get to recognize that while the world exists, stuff that's just wild and crazy. Anyone argue with that? It's wild. It's a rodeo out there. The thing is that as we start observing that, we also have the choice to judge it good or bad, or to not judge it as good or bad. The thing is that as we choose not to judge something, then we actually don't allow it to become charged with the idea that this is bad, this is evil, this just doesn't work. In the reading that we did from Nona Brooks, that Frankie read, it basically says that evil doesn't exist if you're focused on God. The thing is that all the time there's a world out there that basically struggles, strives, and does everything it possibly can to get your attention, to make it say, "Oh, I'm the real world. I've got all the answers. I've got everything that you need." The thing is that world of illusion, where the term Maya is actually one of the Buddhist terms for that, is basically it's what they refer to as the world of illusion. And basically, it continually strives for us to be part, to buy into it, to give it energy, to choose that versus choosing the oneness with the divine. So we do have a choice. The thing is that as we make that choice, we don't always have a clearer thinking, because who always chooses the oneness with the divine? Everybody will falter at some point, at some level. The thing is that if you recognize, okay, well, I chose this, but if you chose it mindfully, that basically says, okay, I mean, there's something I need to learn about this process, so something's happening in your life and it's not necessarily working good for you, then guess what? You also have the opportunity to learn from what's going on. The thing is that you don't do it in an idea of, oh gee, if I do this, then I'm bad, or I do this, and I'm not my full compassionate self, or I'm not the full embodiment of who I'm supposed to be. You do it from the point of view is that there's something to be learned here. There's something to be, something to happen here. There's the old Druid saying. It says, well, what's to happen here? Okay, it's probably said by some old Druid. But the thing is that the key is we have to understand that it's a choice. It's not something that we necessarily have to buy into 100%. But we can learn from the experience. We can learn how other people have to relate to the world because they haven't quite gotten to the point that you understand that basically you are one with the divine. You are that individual expression of God, and you are that perfect being already in existence. Not that they aren't as well. It's just that you understand it. And as you do that, then you learn how that works, and you actually have the opportunity to see where that blessing of understanding, that wisdom takes you. And that's actually the wisdom of the tree of knowledge. Dr. Holmes tells us in a passage in the Hidden Power of the Bible. He says that this story, referring to the story of the Garden of Eden, taken literally, will be so ridiculous as to be positively absurd. Hence, it is necessary to look for a deeper meaning. The writer was trying to teach a cosmic lesson. He was attempting to teach the lesson of right and wrong. The Garden of Eden typifies life in its pure essence. Adam means man in a generic sort of form, and man exists in pure life and has all its agencies at his command. This is the meaning of his being told that to till the soil and enjoy the fruits of his labor. You know, the term Adam in Hebrew has a couple different connotations. One say it's red, but one of them I thought was the most interesting is basically it's another term for earth. And when they're talking about being in the Garden of Eden, is basically he's talking about the life in its pure essence. I'm in one with the divine. The thing is that we also, when we come into form, when we come into this body, when we come into this consciousness, we come with everything that we need because it's already there for us. The thing is that we've actually, through the opportunities of learning from the wrong sources, or learning from well-intentioned sources, or learning from uninformed sources, that we're not as good as we thought we were. And then when we buy into that idea, then what happens is that we don't have the opportunity to see that growth happen. We don't have a chance to see the total beingness that's us to unfold as who we are. It's not that we don't have it available to us. It's just that we've kind of made a choice. And sometimes it's a subconscious choice, granted. It wasn't something we consciously did. It says, I think I'm just going to go in here and I want to create a mess of my life. Maybe. The thing is is that what happens is that through whatever reason it showed up, we don't necessarily have to stay there, because we still have a choice. It's just that we have to start getting to the point where we recognize, okay, I am that pinch of God stuff. That God didn't make junk when I came into form. That I am that expression of the divine. I am that peacefulness that is the expression of God. And as that peacefulness expresses as who I am, that love comes out, that authentic person comes out, and all of a sudden we start recognizing that we are one with the divine. And all the resources of the divine, all of it, is at our command. We just have to choose. That's actually how it works. We actually get to co-create with God by just choosing, say, this is where I want to go. And this is in the flow with the divine process. And this is what I want to see happen in my life. And I want to allow the things that have shown up because I wasn't totally flowing with the, I wasn't zigging when I should have been zagging type of thing. And what happens is that we basically were doing something that wasn't in our highest good. I'm not going to ask anyone who's done something that's not for their highest good. I haven't met somebody yet that hasn't done it at least once. But the thing is that it's an opportunity for us to learn. We say, okay, this is what was the lesson? And then we get to choose and say, oh, that was the lesson. Oh, okay. I think I'm going to now choose something different. What do you want to choose? What do you want to go through? What do you want to see experience in your life? The divine basically just wants to tell you yes. It's called the grace of God. It wants to give the keys to the kingdom to you. But Dr. Holmes continues, he says, the tree of life is our real being. The tree of knowledge of good and evil means the possibility of duality or choice. That is, we can choose even that which is not for our best good. We were just talking about that, wasn't we? The man is warned not to eat of the fruit of this tree, for it is destructive. Well, one of the gifts that we were given was a gift of volition, was a gift of choice. We have now the opportunity to say yes to God, or it says, I think I'm going to go on this detour for a while. And sometimes those detours get you right into the swamp, they get you underwater, they get you into all sorts of crazy places that if you thought of it consciously and thought it through, you probably would have thought something different. Says, I think I'm going to take another detour. That was a mess. The thing is that we actually, if we've taken that, we've actually got to the point where it's actually creating that swamp in our life, then we actually still have the choice. Still have the choice to get back on the main flow, divine process, because it's already working. It's always working. It's always there. We just have to recognize that, okay, gee, this is what I chose to do, and this is the experience I had. And wow, what an experience it was! I think I'm going to remember this for a really long time, but I'm not going to do it again. It's good that we're aware of all of the different aspects of how this process works. It's good that we become aware. So actually learning about what duality is and seeing how it affects people, because a lot of people are just stuck in the duality. So you get a chance to actually be able to relate with people. You get a chance to see, gee, this is what's showing up in their life. And I know that they're a divine creation of the divine, of light. I know that they are gifted with all things necessary to create great things in their life, and they're just choosing to not do that right now. The thing is that, so we don't necessarily judge them for them being a bad person. We don't necessarily judge them for being, totally ignorant. We just say that they haven't really gotten the idea that this is who we are. And they haven't really embraced the idea, because they may have heard the words. How many people had to hear this idea that we talk about in religious science more than once before you got it? I mean, it takes a while, doesn't it? It takes a while, because what happens is that we don't necessarily have those ears that hear until sometimes we have to almost have it bludgeoned into us. And basically we call these I call them the 4x4 experience. It's right between the eyes, and you have to sit back and take a moment to kind of let the system reboot, and all of a sudden you realize, oh, that's something I could have done. I think I'm going to do that now. And the thing is that when you do that, then all of a sudden things start getting better. Things start growing in a more positive direction. They start growing in a divine direction. So Dr. Holmes continues on after this. He says, Eve, the woman in the case, was made from Adam's rib, from the rib of Adam. Which depends on which source you talk to. Is it a rib or whatever it was? Actually, Eve, interestingly enough, in Hebrew is called Evi. It's IVI, and basically what that basically means in Hebrew is bone. So basically, man was basically the term for earth, and Eve was a term for bone. And basically, but they said that from something from within man, there was something that created woman. Some should say that she got the best of man. I'm not going to go there. Okay, wait. The story is suggestive of the dual nature of man as a psychological being. A woman is made from man. She must have been within him, or she could have not been made from him. And the story clearly states that she was taken from his being. So Adam and Eve are the potential in all of us. The serpent in the story, basically the serpent that said that they basically tempted them to eat of the tree of knowledge. The serpent represents the life principle viewed from a material basis and beguiles us in this way. He says that evil is as real as good, and that the devil has equal power to God, and that negation equals positive goodness, and that the universe is dual in its nature. So what we have to recognize is that there is an experience of duality. It's a choice that we have to make, or basically, at least we have to be unconscious of the choice not to stay in the divine flow. But it is something that we have to embrace, the idea that nothing is really good or bad until we decide that it's so. Many great individuals in history have said something along that line, is that basically nothing is good or bad until I decide it's so. Probably the best story I ever heard of something just like that is that there was a professional umpire that was being interviewed because he was retiring, and they were saying, so how is it that how did you survive so long and did so well, and how is it that you basically were able to decide what was a ball or what was a strike, especially when they were really a close call? He says, may have been a ball, may have been a strike, but it ain't nothing until I said what it was. That's exactly how it works for us. It isn't until we decide that it's evil or it's bad or that's not in our highest good, we say, that's something I don't want. But the thing is, we made a choice, and you say, okay, that's what I don't want. What you have now to do is basically just choose something else. So what is the else that you want to choose? What is the else that you want to experience? What is the else that wants to show up in your life? As we were released from fear of evil, from our own sense of being fallen. We realize that this is simply our individual and humanity's path to self-awareness and discovery. So even though you needed to take a couple steps down this road and kind of recognize how you fit in the realm of other individuals, you don't necessarily have to stay there. In fact, that's part of the process when things are going awry, is that you basically bought into this illusion that has to be that way, that there has to be lack, somebody has to be suffering, somebody has to be. and realize that the divine process basically says that ain't necessarily so. Ain't necessarily so. You have the opportunity to see that energy within you grow into an awesome expression of your consciousness, which shows up as an awesome expression of you. If we allow this to continue growing within us, then we actually get a chance to actually let other people see it too. Because it shows up so brightly that it's not something that can be hidden with inside. It's inside you. If you just take the first couple steps down the road, you may not be visible, but it may be something that you choose not to share. But when you get far enough down the road, people are going to start noticing. You're happier. Things are going good for you. You're kind of different. And that's the trouble, is that you basically start showing up that way. I guess it's not trouble. Basically it's a good thing. Frankly, the thing is, people start noticing that you're different than they are, that there's something going on with you that they don't know. And sometimes they want to say, what is it you're doing? Now, they're the ones that have to choose for themselves. You can't choose for them. That's the trouble in a lot of relationships. We keep wanting to choose something else for our spouse. It doesn't work. They have to choose for themselves. You have to allow that to show up in their lives the way they want it to show up, the way that they want to see how it develops, the way they have it moving forward in their lives. So Dr. Holmes reminds us that it's our sense of separation that needs to be healed or revealed. That we aren't actually separated, but without the sense, we could not actually discover the power of choice or the consequences of our choices. So that even Dr. Holmes basically tells us that even though you've bought into this illusion, that's okay. Because you can now choose to learn from that experience, to see it, how it is, or for what it is, and then choose something new. Choose something more in the divine flow. Choose more something that is more of who you are. We just need to be reminded. So what kind of reminder do you want? You want a tap on the shoulder? You want someone to shake you a little bit? You want someone to whisper in your ear? Or do you want a 4x4 between the eyes? I mean, it's your choice. The thing is that you have the opportunity to make that choice. And that's what I encourage you right here, right now. It's for you to make the choice that allows you to understand that I am part of the divine flow. I am a pinch of God stuff, and I am a being of light, and I now understand what's going on in my life. And that understanding, that knowledge, can be carried back in and says, this is now, I see how that works. And now I see that as I go back into the divine, I basically choose to be in the divine flow. I see how what's unlike the divine process and the divine flow, it just kind of just dissolves into the light of truth. Because it really was nothing at the forefront. It's just something that was a construct of our mind. It was a construct of being stuck in that duality, being stuck in that illusion that we're talking about. So, my last question to you is, do you need a reminder? Namaste.
Thank you. That was a wonderful talk. I choose all different things all the time. I guess crazy. Okay. This next song is about choice, but it's also about how, well, I like to call Source or God, my favorite word is light. And that light is that everywhere present, where there's no duality. Where there is light, and a day and a night, and the stars shining bright. Where there is light, there is all of the dark and the bright. That's the way of the light.
go into this closing treatment, you heard me when I was reading the treatment, when I started talking, they used the term I. I do that for a specific reason, is that it allows you, when you hear these words, if you choose to make them alive in your life, is that if you hear the word I, that you can choose exactly that expression of this treatment. So I want to choose to do that again, just so that you understand what I'm doing. I'm going to use the term I. It's a pronoun, but it basically allows me to personalize it for me. So as I go into that place, into that wondrous, abundant energy that is expressing in and around me and as me, I recognize that there is nothing but God. And that expression extends to me. I am that expression as well. I am in the flow of the divine. I am in that process moving me forward. As I understand this better, it allows me to make the choice to use it. And I choose to use it right now. So whatever stands in the way of my full expression of the abundance, I know that it is whole. It is the absolute best expression of who I am. That it is the best possible beingness of who I am. It is who I am. And as I clearly understand this, I understand the joy and the love that's already there for me. Because I recognize it was already there. It was already just waiting for me to recognize it. Just waiting for me to be in that space. I allow it to be that space with joy, celebrating this idea that it's already there. It's already in action. It's already ready for me. It was just waiting for me to be ready for it. So I now engage. I now allow this word to be flow out of this essence that was spoken into, and into the hands of the divine, into the light, knowing that as it is now in that fertile, abundant, perfect expression, there is nothing that can come out of it except the abundant, perfect expression, and I allow that demonstration to be in my life right now. I open myself up to the idea that I deserve, that I allow, that I am in that place. I allow it to embrace me, to immerse me, and allow me to come back renewed, invigorated, ready to see how this new demonstration shows up in the world, knowing that not only blesses me, but that vibration blesses all those that are ready to vibrate at that level. I see it now clearly. I rejoice in knowing that it is perfect, and I let it be so. And so it is. And so it is. Invite the ushers to come up. In your program, we have the affirmation that goes, the offering blessing. Say it with me. From the love of pure spirit within me.
From the love of pure spirit within me.
I bless this gift.
I bless this gift.
I send it forth to heal and bless and prosper.
I send it forth to heal and bless and prosper.
It is evidence of my faith and my belief.
It is evidence of my faith and my belief.
It does great work in the world.
It does great work in the world.
It returns to me multiplied abundantly.
It returns to me multiplied abundantly.
So it is.
So it is. We are each light, giving and receiving. We are each light, coming forth a golden ray.
So, as each being of light has shared love with this church, and knowing that love will create abundance, will create growth, will create opportunities that will allow us to be more of the expression in our community, in our world. As we choose this, we know that the blessings will continue to live on and on within us, within all that it touches. Would you allow me so? And so it is. And so it is. And we're going to look
The children.
the children out.
Free the children.
Freedom!
Free the children.
Freedom! We're having way too much fun.
They were having a good time.
Yeah, I could tell.
It's so nice when our practitioners can just like have all that much fun.
Exactly.
Well, my kids, I guess, had fun too.
Sure sounded like they did.
How many practitioners does it take to take care of kids? We got 3 practitioners for 4 kids, is that great? Okay, so we should give a hand to Audrey and Frankie for helping. So, did any of the kids want to share anything? Did you guys show what you did?
Corbin.
Yeah.
Come here.
You want to share, buddy?
Corbin Ryder. Come here.
Anyway, they choose gardens. Okay, because you guys were doing choice, right? So they were doing gardens and the creative process. You want to share? Show it. Come on up. Do you want to say anything? All right, you guys stay up here with me. Here, over here.